All right, everybody, welcome back to the Man Therapy Podcast. We have been away for a while for several reasons, and one of those happens to be that Dan Johnson, have had a knee replacement surgery, and that has put me out of commission for a couple weeks now. And finally, I have the energy to get back and sit up straight for the most part and walk around, have some movement, feeling better. I'm off the heavy drugs so I can actually think and talk and that kind of stuff. But I am coming to you semi-live from the bed where all three of my children were conceived. So that's a first.
Wow.
Kyle,
Dude,
long time no see, buddy. How we
I
doing?
missed you, man. I've been thinking about you.
I missed you too, dude.
Yeah, I've been hoping you're all right. It's I know it's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's you never really know, right? I've had two previous knee surgeries, one in 1997 from a football injury, and then one in 2001, I believe, or 2002 from a rugby injury. And I had to go through, the rehabilitation part of that. And I don't remember it being as painful as this one was, but the dude, I've learned so much about pain and medicine and, the rehabilitation, having to go through it at, the age of 45 and all that stuff. So it's kind of taught me a lot about how much how much pain I can handle versus knowing when to like chill out and sit down and relax a little bit and how to, here's a crazy one. How to manage other people's expectations about how I feel, if that makes sense.
Say more.
Well, what I mean by that little portion of it is there's people out there who have never had a knee surgery, who have never had knee replacement surgery, that have expectations about how you should feel. And I don't know where they're getting that from. Because they're
enlighten people because anybody out there could listen to this episode at any time. They could be just about to get a knee surgery. They could have just had one. What have you noticed with other people's expectations?
I'll tell you this could be not just physical pain like what I'm going through. This could be emotional pain. This could be stress in life. This could be work related. This could be parent relationship, right? Nobody knows how you feel except you. Truly, nobody knows how you feel except you. No one has gone through the pain like your life except for you. And so to sit back and especially if there's a lack of communication about how a person feels, nobody knows how you're feeling unless you communicate with them. And then what happens is, in certain scenarios, I believe that people get frustrated that you feel a certain way or are a certain way. And then that person then feels that you shouldn't be, you're past that. You shouldn't feel this way. You have this to worry about and that to worry about and all that stuff. And so, if that makes sense, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a wild ride. The worst part about this entire knee surgery thing is the lack of sleep. Just being completely exhausted all day long, trying to find a comfortable position to rest in, to sleep in, and it's not just the knee that hurts. It's the ankle, it's the hip, it's the bones, and learning about, how they do it. Like they literally had to come in and saw off the end of my bones and then literally hammer new pieces into the fake knee into my leg. So long story short, they just beat the shit out of me for 2 straight hours.
Oh my gosh.
Mauled me and then put me back together and said, all right, time to do some rehab.
I mean, that's about as invasive as a surgery could be. You know, like you're like, oh, it hurts more than my previous two surgeries. Well, your previous two surgeries, they sure as shit didn't do all that to you.
No, they didn't. Nope, they
Yeah.
did not at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was it's an eye-opening experience, but I'm really looking for, like, I'll be honest, last week on Friday, I was like, man, I would love to talk with Kyle, but dude, this is the crazy part. I was not mentally there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't think it was me feeling sorry for myself. I was still on some of the medications, like the pretty high pain pills, like hydromorphone, which is a basically a pill form of morphine.
Uh-huh.
Uh, where, I mean, I would try to have conversations with people, and my speech would be slurred. I couldn't focus, and it's not only did it was it taking a physical toll on me, but it, like, sitting in a bed all day long for 4 days in a row or 5 days in a row, and then having to go to therapy, which is extremely painful. It started like taking a mental toll on me.
I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we're coming out of the darkness, so to
That's good.
speak, and I'm really looking forward to be like, personally, I'm looking forward to, like, just doing something simple as playing catch with my kids in the next couple weeks, man. Like, I know this is a process and it's going to take a long time to get returned to like a normal, but I'm starting to feel optimistic again, as opposed to the last couple weeks where I felt like it wasn't going to end.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when you're in the middle of it, you can't see the end of it, and that's hard.
Right. Right.
Man, you know, it's I'm clumsy, and so I've had a number of injuries. I've never had anything as invasive as what you have, but I've had a
Yeah.
number of injuries and surgeries and procedures that have like hampered my ability to do things. And the thing I realize is like life doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Like there's still like your family just went on and your kids had
Yep.
stuff they had to do and
Yep.
stuff needed to be done here and there, and it's like when you're laid up in bed, like life doesn't stop around you. It's
Right.
not like things were, X many years ago when you were single, and if you would have been laid up, maybe, whatever, you don't really have to do much, and maybe your mom would take care of you. It's like life just keeps on going.
Right. Right. And the good news is this week I've been able to start driving again.
Hey.
So I'm the only really time I'm taking a pill now is like 8:30 at night before I go to bed. I'm taking a pain pill and a sleeping pill,
Uh-huh.
that's supposed to help relax me, and then I'm doubling down on like the natural stuff, like the melatonin and some, well, it's not natural, but like NyQuil.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Just
get it.
basically trying to
Knock yourself out.
safely knock myself out so I get more than 30 minutes of sleep at a time. So,
Do you sleep in a break? Do you ever have a brace on, or is it like you're supposed to just be raw dog
no,
in life now?
yeah, I'm raw dogging it. Like, it's been raw dog since the day that, since surgery. There's been no brace. You're not supposed to wear a brace. You're supposed
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be as mobile as possible. The more you move around, the better. And, I've been trying to go on walks throughout the day now. I go to physical therapy 3 times a week,
Wow.
and try to get it bent and straight. And the hardest part, as far as the rehab, is I don't know how much you know or anybody knows about knee replacement surgery, but they have to take one of the quarters of your quadricep and splice, like cut up into it. So they
Oh,
cut it in half,
oh,
and then they have to stitch it back together after they put the knee in.
wow.
And that has been a very hard part for me, is flexing my quadricep and keeping it strong, and stable while doing some of my exercises. Like, I can bend and straighten it fairly well. I can walk on it. Like, I'm starting to walk on it without crutches, but being able to flex it and lift it is extremely painful still. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh, I totally believe it. Yeah, and also to recognize that the your healing process is going to be it's not going to be fast, and it's going to be
Yeah.
ongoing for a while.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, don't even
Yeah.
think you're going to be awesome in 2 weeks. It's like you probably have like a number of months in front of you before you are feeling like, yeah, all right, good.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that kind of bums me out is that, uh my youngest son, I'm the coach of his baseball team, and I set a pretty hard standard for a comeback. I'm like, I should be there to sit on a bucket and, throw balls at 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
Right.
my son is like, Dad, I wish you were coming to practice with me and being my coach. And I was just like, I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. I got to get my knee better. But inside, I'm like crying because I want to be there to
Yeah.
support him.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, Hey, Dad, let's go play catch. I'm like, guys, I can't right now. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and then of course, the housework is like I did a fair amount of housework, and that's not getting done, but I am relying on my oldest two kids to kind of pick up the slack and trying to help clean up, and I'm
Yeah.
giving them chores to do, like, hey, today I need you to do this and this and this, and once you're done with that, then you can go play with the friends. But until then, you got to help me, because if you don't help me, then it's going to get real bad around here.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
yep.
It makes perfect sense to me that you would say that you miss coaching and feel bad that you can't be there. Like, absolutely, that totally just highlights your values.
Yeah.
And I respect it. And I just want to add an angle to it of this sort of thing reveals to us the things that we have to be grateful for.
Oh
that
yeah.
that you're that it's not gone. This is on pause for you. You will get back to all of that, but when you
Yeah.
there's a lot of things we take for granted, and then when we can't do them, we start missing out on them, and it really hits us. And
A hundred
so,
percent.
maybe this is just an okay time to take mental and emotional stock of life and be like, oh yeah, you know what, that is really special. I can do that stuff with my kids. I do need to
Yeah.
take care of myself. It's good I got this knee surgery. Yeah, it's gonna hinder me for X amount of weeks and months. Okay, fair enough. But you know what, I've been doing it right up to this point. I'm so involved with my kids that my presence is missed. Because it could be the other way. It could be like, dude, what if you had a knee surgery and like nothing changed in your kids'
Oh,
lives? What
yeah.
would that say about you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like you're a big piece of shit and you
You're just not
like,
very involved.
yeah, yeah,
I'm looking at
exactly.
other
It's like,
people.
oh no, I'm doing the same thing now. I'm just watching TV and,
Yeah,
scrolling on my phone all day long.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Yep. I
exactly.
feel that.
Yeah, man.
What about you, dude? What's good with you over the last couple weeks?
Well, life is good generally speaking. I'm happy that the weather's starting to get better, and I'm
Yeah.
ready for winter to be done. I'm ready for it to be nice outside because my kids do way better when it's nice outside. Yeah, not in a complainy way because I want to be always grateful for what I have too. I'm ready for. I would like for life to just be like chill and easy for a few months or something. That'd be cool. 'Cause I
Yeah.
think I told you my sewer backed up in my house a couple of times, and
Yep.
that was
Yep.
stressful. I just had like a number of like stressors like that. Washing machine broke. Just like thing after thing kind of keeps happening. That's like I'm trying to get my feet under me, then the next thing happens. I'm trying to get my
Yeah.
feet under me, the next thing happens, and I'm just like, all right, I'm ready for things to go well for a while. But I appreciate my
Yeah.
wife. She'll say, like at least we're not dealing with a sick child or something, like at least one of our
Yeah.
kids doesn't have cancer or something like that. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's right. This is just frustration and money. And
Yeah.
if you get into a hole, you can always get yourself out in time with a good plan. And so that's just what we're doing.
Yeah. That man, I'll tell you this. It's it's the same but different. Um like getting railroaded by something like, okay, for example, my knee surgery. I knew it was coming. I picked the date. I went in. I had the surgery. I know, like, there was a certain amount of expectations of what the rehabilitation process was going to be like. So you're able to prepare a little bit for that. But
Yeah.
in your circumstance, man, just getting completely taken blindside by these house issues and then going into some kind of financial reserve that maybe you worked real hard to save up for something different, or whether that's for retirement or something else, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, I have to take this out to fix something that it's necessary to fix. I have to do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm back at ground zero for starting over from a savings perspective. That I've been there before, and that is, I would say, that is almost more frustrating than what I would be going through.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's deflating, but again, it's like,
Yep.
all right, well, go back to the plan, which is just keep working and keep saving.
Yeah.
And luckily I like my work, so that's a good thing.
Right. Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same. It's the same. Finally, I'm feeling up to, sitting here having these conversations with you. And that's like, just for this brief moment, I'm like right now, I don't necessarily feel my knee because I'm distracted
Yeah.
because I'm talking to you. Right.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this. This might be a really good starting point for a conversation today, but is it okay in life, from your professional opinion, when you're going through a hard time, to purposely distract yourself from that said bad thing, just to take your mind, it's not going to fix the problem, but to take your mind off of it for 24 hours or a moment, and then obviously coming back, you have to come back to reality at some point. But is it ever okay to check out?
Yeah, man. So I think that's an awesome question. I think checking out or avoidance or distraction is actually a good short-term strategy. It's
Uh-huh.
just a really bad long-term strategy.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
it is avoidance was never meant to be a long-term strategy, and some people it works in the moment, and so they just double down on it, and it's the only thing they
Right.
do. But no, I would
Right.
say healthy distraction is excellent,
Yeah.
probably even key in times where there's not like, something more potent than you can do. So the thing I always say, and it's pretty common sense, is that as long as it's not self-destructive, as long as you're not getting drunk or getting high to, or gambling to take your mind off the things, like probably pretty fine if in an acute phase, moment by moment, healthy distraction is great.
Yeah.
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 You don't want to get into the rut of only ever always distracting and avoiding
Yeah.
problems. Because
Yeah.
then you know exactly what happens. They get worse and they fester. But yeah, every once in a while, if you need a mental break, I think healthy distraction is really smart. Watching
Yeah.
a funny movie, taking a
Yeah.
nap, calling a friend, anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's also crazy in moments like this, you get to observe your partners or the relationships you have maybe with your kids or your father. Like, for example, my wife, her schedule at work is ridiculous. Like, she has meetings almost all day long. She has major deadlines for multi-million dollar projects. So she carries a lot of stress through her job around. And then when you add, you got that, and then you add this to the table, like my knee surgery to the table,
Yeah.
you kind of get to see who's in your corner, so to
Uh-huh.
speak. And so, like, shout out to my mom and my dad for, driving an hour just to take me to a round trip of 2 hours, basically,
Yeah.
maybe 2.5 hours, to take me to a 45 minute, 45 minutes,
Yeah.
physical therapy session. Even my kids, like, I sat down, I set expectations with them when I got back from my knee surgery, and I go, especially to the older two, I said, hey, listen, I need your help around here. So you're going to get chores, and just do me a huge favor. Don't complain. Just do what I say for the next handful of weeks. Help me out, because by helping me out, you're going to help your mother out.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to mean the world to us that you do this. And as of right now, they've been, helping out. It's they've been helping out my daughter. Was it, not this, was it this? It was last weekend. She went to Kansas City for a wrestling tournament,
Uh-huh.
and my son could have went. My oldest son could have went, which would have left me here by myself. And my oldest boy was like, "No, someone's got to stay with Dad to help him out."
Aw.
Yeah,
Gee.
and so, dude, if I needed a pack of ice, if I needed a glass of water, if I needed something, he went and got it for me.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he
what a
he
sweetheart.
made sure I was comfortable and ready, and I had everything I needed. So it was uh
Good
it was
dude.
pretty awesome to see and feel that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the other side of the coin of like, man, I wish I could be coaching baseball. Oh, I wish I could be there. Like
Mhm.
that's pretty neat that I wouldn't wish what you're going through on you, but like
Yeah.
to your point, you get to see some really cool things because you're going through it,
Right.
and probably because you've been so invested in your kids, they're wanting to invest in you. That's pretty
Yeah.
darn cool.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. It's uh it's just another stage in life where you get to see how people handle pressure.
Yeah.
I will self admit that there has been times where um over the last 2.5 weeks where my patience level hit a max, and or hit a threshold, and that threshold was controlled by pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have snapped at people who I maybe shouldn't have snapped at, but it wasn't me that was doing the snapping. It was
Yeah.
my my pain threshold that was doing
Yeah.
the snapping. You
Oh
know what
yeah.
I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
so having to learn how to control that is also, I guess, part of a learning experience as well.
Yeah, and you have to have insight to even think that you're going to be able to try to control it, and then you try to
Yeah.
control it, and then you realize how hard that actually is, and it's not. It's more about just having the insight that, oh, I should try to be nicer when I'm in pain. Then you kind of realize, oh my God, I actually am like irritable when I'm in pain,
Yeah.
and it's hard to behave different from how you actually feel.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
appreciated earlier you said that you had some insight about other people's pain. Like you don't know what other people are
Hmm.
feeling or thinking, feeling, going through, and recognizing that if, I guess probably true for everybody, like that's what's driving them.
Hmm.
And, I wonder what insight that gives you about the struggles or the difficulty or the stress of people around you, and how you might think about them differently and think about
Yeah.
your interactions with them differently.
And I think you might agree with this, Kyle. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but we've talked about this previously. I think right now, the word that keeps popping up in my head is empathy.
Hmm.
And yes, you truly, you do not know how the other person is thinking or feeling unless they're communicating that with you, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, man, this is where just being a kind-hearted person will help everybody in this situation, right? Instead of getting frustrated that, for example, we had that conversation a while ago about my wife, and she was in intensive care for 5 days
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Des Moines. Really scary situation, and I didn't even try to understand how she was feeling. All I did was to be there, to be as supportive to her as humanly possible. What do you need? I'll go get it. You need this? I'll go get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything, uh, anything you need. And I think if we as humans can just be more empathetic when we see someone struggling, whether it's with pain or it's with, struggles with stress or family, that list goes
Yeah.
on.
Oh yeah.
Um, um, just try your hardest to be like, okay, I'm going to try real hard to understand this person. I'm going to ask them some questions, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this person is inconveniencing me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That brings me to another idea that I think is really poignant in most people's lives, and that is the difference between visible and invisible struggles.
Explain that.
Um, it's very easy to be empathetic towards someone that has a broken leg. It's
Yeah.
very easy to be not trying to like minimize or downplay, but it's very easy to like have your heart overflowing with empathy and care towards someone that's in the hospital
Yeah.
or in the ICU, because it's obvious. It's like, oh my God,
Hmm.
it's that bad. I can see that. you know,
Yep.
somebody has
Yep.
a broken arm or somebody has blood gushing from something. Like it's obvious to you. But what if the things that they're suffering from are internal? What if they're emotional?
Hmm.
And we can't see it, and they look fine to us on the outside, but they are hurting on the inside. I think
Yeah.
that's when it's hardest for us to check ourselves and
Yeah.
recognize, like, I don't like if I think this person's a good person, then it probably doesn't make a lot of sense for me to be frustrated with them on a daily basis because they probably are trying their hardest and they
Yeah.
probably have some stuff going on mentally or emotionally that I'm not privy to. And
Right.
so then to be able to utilize that unconditional warmth that you were talking about, I think that would be a beautiful thing. I
Yeah.
get frustrated. I get frustrated with my wife around all kinds of things, and I know that she, struggles with anxiety, and she's got thyroid issues. Sometimes she's in hyperthyroidism, sometimes she's in hypo, and that really affects how she feels. Um, all kinds of things. But if I can't see it, I can be like I can be more likely to be like, come on, babe, just da 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 da,
Yeah.
instead of trying really hard to be empathetic towards her.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's that. I couldn't agree more. It's hard to be empathetic to somebody if you don't know that they're struggling,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, so and so's just having a bad day, because everybody has bad days. But when you start to see bad days stack up on top of each other, and the next thing you know, it's like you're kind of always in a bad mood, right? And then I think that's when the person um, needs to start asking the right questions, and be like, have the open communication, um, and and uh, and empath like and start that process of being
Yeah.
empathetic to them. Now, do you ever do you ever see this maybe in your uh in your professional career, where being empathetic to someone can backfire?
Yeah, I see empathy backfire when one person's a giver and the other one's a taker.
Yeah.
Then and actually like givers and takers often end up together
Yeah.
because a taker is basically just like on the lookout for a giver.
Right.
And then a giver like just walks into a buzzsaw, so to speak, when it's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm here to give," and the other person's like, "Oh, well, you met the right person 'cause I'm here to take." But the giver
Yeah.
didn't realize how much the taker was gonna take, and they just
Yeah.
take and take and take and take and take and take, and so then the giver just gives and gives and gives, and they didn't realize how deep the hole was that they were getting into. So
Right.
that really sucks for a giver. So an emotional giver, a person that's really empathetic, a person that's too empathetic can sabotage their own happiness in relationships by being too understanding, letting too many things go, ignoring too
Hmm.
many red flags, not setting healthy boundaries. Um, they enable. That's where you hear the word enabling. You hear them enabling the other person by letting them get away with too much stuff. That if they
Yeah.
were in a healthier relationship or if they stood up for themselves, they would never let it get to that point. They would draw a line and say, "Hey, this isn't acceptable." Da da da.
Yeah.
Um, that's those are ways that like unhealthy empathy can backfire,
Yeah.
interfere with somebody's life. I do think though, I'm always parallel processing, which means I'm always thinking about my situation as I'm talking with anyone else. I think like when I get the most frustrated with my wife, I think I need to try hard to remind myself that she's trying her hardest too.
Hmm.
And that like when she's anxious or when she's frazzled, I have to remind myself that she doesn't want to be that feeling that way either.
Right.
And there are some people, I mean, I think you have to do some real assessment. Like if I do some real assessment and think to myself, like, is my wife is my wife an unhealthy narcissist, or is my wife like, does she have a good heart and is she doing the best she can? Well, the
Yeah.
answer to that question is blatantly honest or blatantly obvious to me. Like my wife's an awesome person. I married her
Yeah.
because she's an awesome person. I didn't accidentally get into a relationship with a narcissist. It's not like that.
Yeah.
So I think if I'm not careful, I know that like my irritation can build. And
Yeah.
I think, and then that makes me be a little testy and a little standoffish and a little, snappy and less patient and stuff. And when I think about this stuff, it helps remind me to do the opposite, to try to
Yeah.
be more patient, to try to care about her more. And
Yeah.
I can tell you, anytime that I've ever like had that insight and allowed it to affect me, and then allowed myself to be warm to my wife rather than cold, like
Yeah.
that was always the better decision. It
Yeah.
always felt better.
Yeah. Um, I have to ask this question because I think a lot of men go through this, especially in marriage. Um, do you, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this. Do you ever feel that everybody else except you gets the best version of your wife? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
I
then
think
you're
like,
left with like I don't know, man. And I hope this doesn't sound like an unfair question, but I think it's a question that doesn't need to be asked. Just like all of the stress in the wife, and I'm not saying, like I'm going to just talk general here. All the stress in a wife's life gets snowballed directly to the husband, and therefore he is responsible for her happiness or for her mood, whether or not he can control what she's stressed about.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure that can happen. I'm sure that does happen. I would guess that that happens a lot, actually. I would guess it also happens both directions. That the
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't have data to back this up. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking out loud, but I wouldn't be surprised that if we surveyed like all couples in the
Mhm.
country and asked like, hey, do you think the rest of the world gets like the best parts of your partner, and then you kind of like get the leftovers? What do you think? I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if a lot of people would say that, and that's probably
Right.
too harsh of a way to state it, but
Yeah.
I think like so again with parallel processing, I think like, well, do I do that? I think
Yeah.
about how I think about how I don't show frustration or irritation to anyone else, like
Mhm.
to my clients, to my friends, to like people that I interact with in the world. Like I'm super cool, calm, and collected with them, and then I
Yep.
get like frustrated and irritated with my kids or with my wife. Like I'm that person that gives the best of myself to others, and then my family gets kind of the leftovers, so to speak. And that's not
Yeah.
100% true because I also do give them a lot, but I think the world gets a filtered version of me, and then my family gets all of it. So they get the good
Yeah.
and the bad. So like my wife and my kids get the really playful part, which is
Yeah.
super fun, and like I like to coach my kids sports, and I do a lot around the house and all of those things, and that's really good. But then they also see the I'm really frustrated because I've asked you 6 times to get ready for bed and you're not. So now I'm going to raise my voice, and then they're calling me mean, and I'm like, geez, I don't want to be mean, but I freaking asked you, like a phrase that I do say that I'm not proud of. I'll say, nice doesn't work with you.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh
That's
God,
fair. That's
uh,
fair. Yeah.
but that my family could easily say, oh Kyle, you're so nice to everybody else, but you're angry at home. It's like that would be a fair observation.
Yeah. 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 It's just how to balance that is the struggle, especially for marriage.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is for all relationships, but
yeah,
um, the and I'm just gonna be completely blunt and honest here. My wife is an extremely caring individual.
yep,
She is a intelligent individual. She like she's able to handle this job that she has, and I don't know if I'm gonna call this tough love, but she was she voices her frustration about certain things over and over and over again, whether it's about her job, but she doesn't like try to change anything too terribly much. So
yeah,
I kind of had a sit down with her the other day and was having this conversation about like you voice your frustrations about the same thing every single week. What are you going to do to change it?
yeah,
Because all you're doing is you're continuously, and this isn't just about me and my wife. This is about people who complain but don't take any action to fix their unhappiness.
hmm,
um and so what are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do about it? Are
yeah,
you just going to sit in it and
yeah,
stay here and remain unhappy, or are you going to try to do something, or maybe, just maybe, you might have to change your perspective on something and look for the positives in this scenario and not the always negative. Because I think if most people take a step back from their frustrations or problems in life and they say, they maybe even make a list of pros and cons,
Yeah.
like the pro is I don't know, like here's a pro. Oh, okay. This is a pro.
Yeah.
This is a pro. This is a pro.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a con. This is a con. You got way more pros in your life than you do your cons. But what you're doing is you're only focusing on the cons,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so take a moment and just maybe take a second in your life and look at it from a different angle
Yeah.
and just be like, holy shit, I got a lot of flexibility in my job. I have this, I have this, I can do this, I can, do this. And, or with a family member, with a relationship. And the next thing you know, that might just start the snowball or the avalanche that you need to live a more
Yeah.
positive life, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm with you. I think it's one thing to be the leach field for your partner's stress, because
Yep.
they do need you to be that, and that's good.
Yep.
To your point though, you're like, well, I don't want to just help you keep your hand on the stove. Like
Yep.
if you're that miserable that it's just making your entire worldview negative,
Yep.
then this is like poisoning. I'm watching it poison you. I don't want it to poison the whole family. So then there's a point at which, just listening as the spouse isn't enough, and we can be the ones to say, hey, like we have to like talk about some kind of hard truths here, or
Yeah.
have some more pointed discussions around, like, I believe you that everything is this bad, and also, what are we going to do about this? Because the way that we're carrying this burden right now is not going to be sustainable in the long term. And so we should think about how we're going to carry the burden.
Right.
So I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just trying to, continuously pump people up. And I really do feel that, like, if don't just think a good thing. If you're going to think a good thing, say the good thing out loud,
Mm,
right? Like, I don't know, I'm the person who, if my kid, like, I tell my kids I love them all the time.
yeah.
I tell my kids that they should be proud of themselves all the time. I tell my kids, like, before bed, I go, dude, I am so thankful that God gave me you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
here's a line I learned from a pastor recently, and it says this: if I lined up all the little boys and girls in the entire world, I would still choose you.
Yeah.
Like, and saying that to your kids, and I
Yeah.
just, like, you start to say things like that to people, and then they can really get a feel for how much they mean to you.
Yeah.
And it's not just like in a family setting, like a husband wife or a father daughter scenario, but that's just like coworkers too. Like, if there's someone who makes your job easier or is really good at what they do, dude, go tell
Yeah. If I
them.
lined up all the coworkers on the whole planet, I would choose you. That'd be really happy, but that's funny.
That would be, that might warrant a trip to human resources.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing, bud?
You're starting to
That's
be
funny. No, but
creepy.
I know. I'm joking, but I
I
think your
know.
point's really good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think your point's really good. Like, I also think, what you're getting at, and I think you've even said it on the podcast before, is basically that whatever you focus on truly just becomes your world. Whatever you
Yeah.
focus on becomes your reality. And if you have a selective negative focus, if you have this filter that
Yep.
only allows the negative in and blocks out all the positive, guess
Yep.
what your reality is going to be like?
Right.
And you're going to feel that the problem with all of this is, whatever your worldview is, you feel 100% justified to feel that way.
Yep.
And your worldview is fed by the thoughts that you allow yourself to have and the things that you allow yourself to focus on. So it's really hard to get someone to challenge their worldview. But if you can, like, have a good moment where you're like, hey, let's talk about some of the positives here. And let's, like, a thing that I do with my clients is, I'm like, you are totally justified to feel all the negative things that you feel. I won't argue with you there. But can we both agree that the way that you're experiencing life right now sucks really bad? And they're like, yeah, that's true. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well then what do you have to lose by experimenting with some different ways of thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try that. All right, well now what are the positive things that you have in your life, and why aren't things so bad, and what does this job allow you to do, and what is good about your life? And what would it be so bad if you allowed yourself to try to be happy today or have a little more fun today?
Yeah.
I give clients small challenges like, hey, just the rest of today, like if we're meeting at like, let's say I meet with a client at 9 in the morning, I'll be like, hey, your challenge is the rest of today, I want you to try to be in a good mood. No matter what happens, you're going to decide that today's a good day, just
Yeah.
today. Today's a good day, and you're gonna be in a good mood the rest of the day. And anything that happens, you're gonna respond in a good mood. And it's not a fake it till you make it. It's more like just an experiment to see what would happen if you behaved that way. And then they they
100%.
they go try that, and then they start to realize like, oh shit, I can do that. No,
Yeah.
literally nothing changed about my life, but I like tried to have a little bit better attitude, and like things were literally better.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of sparks something. Have you ever heard, like, have you ever heard somebody, really anybody, just be like, I'm just having a bad day?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, people are very vocal about, oh, I'm having a bad day. I'm having a bad
Mm-hmm.
day. But you don't ever hear anybody going, you know what? I woke up on the right side of the bed today, dude.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good today. Like,
Oh man.
I, I don't understand why people don't do that. Like, and maybe it's a mindset thing. Maybe it's, like a personality thing,
Yeah.
but people often accept bad moods. Why can't you just get out of it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand. I've, um, I'm just that, where it's like people try, it's almost like they try to be in a bad mood. Well, if you're just going to be in a bad mood, why don't you just try to be in a good mood?
It's
Just,
just it's easier, it's more accessible, and it becomes a habit to
yeah,
be in a bad mood.
repetitive
Um,
nature. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think to me that's I don't mean for this to sound judgmental, but maybe it is. But to me that's an untrained brain. That's
Hmm.
someone an untrained mind, I mean. That's someone who's not putting thought into how they think. I think some people haven't been even exposed to that concept that you actually can put effort and be purposeful about how you think.
Hmm.
Um, there are millions of people out there that start their day with daily affirmations. And you
Yeah.
might think it's corny and cheesy. And let's say that it is. And it's also really effective because there's this psychological principle called priming, the priming
Okay.
effect of your brain. And that is, I'll give you a small example. If I say, hey, Dan, um, the rest of the day, I want you to notice every single white vehicle that you see, every white car, every white truck, every white van. I want you to notice every white vehicle you see. What do you think you're going to do? What do you think you're going to notice the rest of the day?
White vehicles
White vehicle. You're going to see them everywhere. Now, do you
everywhere.
think it's magic that day there's going to magically be more white vehicles than usual, or do you think you're just going to notice the white vehicles?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just going to notice them because
Yep.
why? Because you primed your brain before you even went into the world. You primed your brain to notice them. Okay. So now what if you use that exact same effect with happiness or positivity, where you wake up in the morning and whether you look in the mirror, you just say it to yourself like, today's going to be a good day. I'm
Yep.
fortunate. I've got good people in my life. I'm gonna notice the good things that I have. I'm gonna take opportunities to have fun. Da 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 da. What if those were parts of your daily affirmation? You're priming your
Yep.
brain for what to
Yep.
notice. What's your day going to be like the rest of the day?
Exactly. You're going to be almost looking for it.
You will be
You're
looking for it.
looking for reasons to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the priming
Yep.
effect works the other way too. If you wake up and you're like, oh God, here we go again. Another
Yeah.
shitty day. Got to go to
Yeah.
my shitty job with my shitty dumbass husband around.
Yeah.
All this stuff. Dude, you're going to have a shitty day,
Yeah. Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. That's
So the
funny.
priming effect is really important, and that's why people use daily affirmations, not because they think it's magic. I mean, maybe some people think it's magical, but not because they think it's magical, you know, but just for the sheer fact of whatever you prime your brain to think, it's going to think.
Yeah. In counseling,
Uh-huh.
you've mentioned in the past, sometimes you got to give some hard truths to some people. Um, is there right and wrong in human emotion? Meaning, as a counselor, or I come to you, I start venting all my problems to you,
Uh-huh.
and I'm trying, maybe I'm blaming other people for the way I feel or something like that. Do you ever say to people like, "I'm just going to be honest with you, you're 100% wrong here in this,"
Mm,
like,
mm,
or you
I
know
might
what,
say some
you're
version of
right.
that. I don't think there's right and wrong emotions because I think like almost always I whether I agree with their conclusion or not, I can totally see their line of thinking that's got them where they've
To that
got.
point, yeah,
Yeah, and that's just basic empathy where you don't have to agree at all, but you can totally see how they got there.
yeah,
So I don't necessarily think there's right or wrong emotions. Um, sometimes if like being empathetic and trying to help a person arrive at a conclusion themselves. Sometimes if that doesn't work, sometimes I do have to get much more direct and blunt. And sometimes I'll even prepare them for that. Because the thing I do when I first start counseling with people is I'll ask how open they are to challenge and if they're okay with me challenging them and if they're okay with me calling them out on something or being blunt with them if need be. And they always say yes to that question because we all feel
yeah,
we can handle it, right? And
right.
so there are some times where after we've tried lots of other in routes, none of them work that I have to go, hey, can I just be like super straightforward with you and say something that might be hard for you to hear? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I think you're going about this all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Da 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 da. You're trying to use the same thinking to get out of it that you got yourself into. You're using intellectualization to just think this problem to deaths, and it's in
Yeah,
order to prevent to avoid taking actions. Like you want to just talk in circles for years so that you don't have to take a single step. Like you got to go take the step,
yeah,
so stuff like that.
yeah. Is that usually hard for people then?
Um, I, I'll, yes, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's really hard because they're terrified to take the step. Like I've worked with people that they've known that they wanted to quit their job for a long time. They've tried hard to do all the work of making it positive and noticing all the positives, and they at the end of the day they truthfully are just miserable there, and they hate it, and there's nothing left for them there emotionally, and they know they need to move on, but there's a lot of reasons why they won't. And so they
Yeah,
just talk it to death. And it'll kind of come down to like, hey, we've been talking about this for like a year. And you're like, do you feel you're any better off now than you were a year ago? No. Well, is there any reason to think that you'll be any better off a year from now than you are now? No.
right.
Like might be time to like take some concrete steps forward. Like you need to look for other jobs. You need to go
Right.
apply for some things. Go interview for a job and see what else is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Take some
Yeah,
of those steps. The same with like another really common one is like boyfriends, like partners breaking up.
right. Yeah,
They know they need to, but they won't, and so they just want to talk about it forever, and they think they're doing something by talking about it, but the talking about it is really just another way to avoid having the hard conversation they need to have with their partner.
yeah. At some point, action needs to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether that's acceptance or fixing the problem or
Yeah.
um, yeah, something like that. I guess the reason I thought like was thinking about this right and wrong way because I know there's more than one way to handle an emotional situation, right? And everybody handles stress or frustration differently. But I didn't know if there was like I'm going to solve my problem by using narcotics.
Right.
That would be a wrong, right?
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Self-destructive. Yeah.
Yeah, you're wrong there. But I didn't know if there was like, like if it would be okay to I'm not a counselor, right?
You're fine. Yeah.
So let's say my brother was struggling with something and he just kept going in circles and looping and if it would be benefit to just be like dude you are so wrong right now or does that actually make things worse if you're telling someone how they're going about something is right or wrong or
Right.
like
Well,
the opposite would be like from an enabler standpoint like oh yeah
yeah.
you're 100% right to feel that way
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
enable them to continue that that
Yeah.
trend that they're on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I would not speak in 100% certain terms. I would never say that that would always be the wrong thing to do.
Right.
That could be the exact right thing to do. Maybe your brother in this hypothetical situation, maybe your brother would need to hear that from you.
Yeah.
Maybe you would be uniquely positioned to say something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe there are times to be direct rather than dancing around the issue. Um, yeah, and then it also probably depends upon the urgency of the thing too, that it's like,
Right.
oh, if the stakes are low, then yeah, we can talk it through. But if you're about to like jump off a bridge, then maybe that's not the time. It's probably a bad
Yeah.
example, but you know,
Exactly.
I'm gonna go get drunk right
Exactly.
now. Like, no, you should not do that. Hey, I'm gonna
Yeah.
shoot up this heroin. No, you're not doing that. I'll come over and restrain you. Like, I'm not allowing
Yeah.
you to do that. We're not gonna like talk about the pros and cons of that. And then
Right.
and then if you do it, I'm okay with it. It's your decision. Like, no, not
Right.
okay with it.
Right. 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 If you're breaking the law, that's probably a big wrong right
Right,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
or self-harm, like, I don't wanna see
Yep.
somebody that I love harm themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you found, even just as in life, not necessarily like remove yourself from a counselor position just for a moment,
Uh-huh.
and like when a friend or a family member is having a bad day, what does Kyle do to motivate them or pump them up or
Yeah,
cheer them up?
yeah, yeah, I hope that I actually do what I'm about to say that I do.
Yeah.
Um, I I try hard to start with listening and start with understanding, not just listening, but start with understanding. Because the
Right.
thing that I learned the hard way is that people don't tend to wanna hear your solution until they feel understood.
Yep.
And that too many people, myself included, skip the understandings part and they jump straight to the advice giving and the problem
Hmm.
solving and the solutions.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
I'm guilty of that.
oh yeah, I still
I'm
am.
guilty of that.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude, I've been a full-time psychotherapist for 15 years and I still do it. I'm like, oh duh, Kyle.
Yeah.
So I try really hard to start with like, tell me everything. And then they tell me everything. And I'm like, okay, so you feel this way for all of these reasons. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, shit, yeah, okay. That makes a ton of sense. I can see why you feel that way. And then there's like a weight off them. And they're like, yeah, okay, good. Like I don't have to battle you to understand what I feel. I don't have to try to convince you. Like you were trying to understand me the whole time and you showed me that you understand. Okay, cool. And so now they're like their defenses are lowered.
Yeah.
And so now I'm an ally with them instead of like somebody that they feel in opposition to, like they have to convince me. So I
Right.
want to be convinced, like help me understand why you feel how you feel. Okay. Yeah, that really does suck. I hear you. And
Yeah.
that's when I can start being like, all right, well, what are your options as you see them? That's a question that I ask pretty often. Well, what are your options? What options can you think of? If we're trying to go into problem solving stuff. If it isn't a problem solving type situation, it's just something they're stuck with, then I'll try to use humor. And
Yeah.
I think I lean into humor pretty heavily. And I'll get as ridiculous as I have to. And you know you have a good sense of humor also, so you'll know what I mean by this when I say that, like, I have a sense of what each individual person thinks is funny, and I'll
Hmm.
hone in on that, and like I know what works with that person, and so I'll joke with them in the way they like to be joked with, and
Right.
then that will lighten the mood. And if I can for that short time help them feel a little bit lighter, then I think that's sometimes that's as far as I can take them.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Well, man, what else do we need to talk about to kind of wind this conversation down today?
Boy, I think our $1 million idea of having like a right side floor mat to put on the floor on your side of your bed, so that every day you get out of bed, you're getting on the right side.
It's
That,
almost like the Office Space jump to conclusions,
yeah,
Matt.
it's a jump to conclusions, Matt. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, or like Dan and Kyle's daily affirmation stickers that you
Yeah.
can put on your bathroom mirror. It's like,
Yep.
you are not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't suck. You are
Yeah.
awesome.
That would be a good business idea. Is just to come up with some stickers that you put places where it's
Yeah,
just like, I'm the fucking man,
yeah.
like you are a stud. You are a good father. You are, like
Oh yeah.
you're banging, like,
There's a thing that I say. So I was in undergrad one summer. I was a door-to-door book salesman in California, and it was this whole I don't even know what to call it. It's an old program, but like basically they recruit college students to just go anywhere in the country and sell these books. And so
yeah,
me from Iowa City went to somewhere in Tennessee to do training. From
yeah.
Tennessee, we drove all the way to California and like didn't have a place to stay. We like knocked on people's doors. We're like, "Hey, we're here for the summer. Can we live with you for the summer?" No, 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 no. Finally got a yes. Okay, cool. But in the training, like they did a lot of mental preparation because this company's been around for so many years that they know that it sucks and they know that people start feeling like shit and quit and leave. And I'll never forget this one guy talked about like his daily routine and his daily affirmations. He says, wakes up and he goes straight to the mirror and he'd say, "Good morning, Kyle, you beautiful thing. Don't you ever die." That's how he starts his day every day. And so sometimes like I mean I thought it was all super corny and cheesy because it was, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of manipulation and stuff, but I did take that little piece that like sometimes I'll crack myself up by staring myself up in the mirror and saying, "Good morning, Kyle, you beautiful thing. Don't you ever die." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Like it.
that's right." And then I go about my
That's right.
day.
That's right. It also sounds like you were part of like the Branch Davidian cult, like trying to sell books. What was going on? What was really going on there is what
Kind
I
of.
want to know.
Yeah. That there was a really nice guy named David. He was super cool. Trying to think of his last name, Chorus or something.
Yeah, I think he moved to Texas, like
Yeah.
Waco, Texas,
Yeah,
somewhere
never heard
like
what
that.
happened to him.
Yeah, I've kind of fell out of touch with him. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I should give
well,
that guy a call.
I tell you what, man, great conversation today. I'm glad I'm back on the horse. It's good to chat with you again. If you are a fan of the Man Therapy podcast, please go to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you download our podcast. Give us a 5-star review. That helps us spread our wings and become more available on not only on the audio platforms like Spotify, but go to uh, YouTube and subscribe to the podcast if you want to watch the video version, especially this one where I'm laying in a bed. But outside of that, thank you guys very much for following along on this podcast as we pack and unpack life, I guess. So, uh, Kyle, man, have a great weekend. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you guys next week.